Well, lathing is the base for what a plasterer would put his finish to. It's kind of like the ground of what the plasterer uses to tie in and put his finished product to. Here we have metal lath. Metal lath came out in the late 60s, early 70s. Prior to metal lath, some of you might have demoed an old wall in a home where you had the wood lath strips in the wall and the plaster had been screeded over that. That was put on by a lather. That's where the actual lathing term came from, wood lath or lather. We haven't used wood lath, of course, since the 60s, and that's when we started using metal lath as our backer for our plastering finish. Well, right now he's using tie wire, which is an 18 gauge wire. It's the piece actually I'm holding here. He's using tie wire to loop in and around the lath and tie it to the 3/4 channel iron. And if you'll look here, we have an example of a 3/4 channel iron, a piece of CRC channel. It's 3/4 of an inch thick, it's a 1/2 inch wide, it's 14 gauge material. And then all of that's tied together with the 18 gauge wire. Depending on what ties you're making will be dependent on how many wires you're actually going to use. Lath itself it's a mesh product. If you actually run your hand across it, one way will be rough and the other way will be nice and smooth. And when a plasterer goes ahead and he tries to trowel into this, he's going to want to go the smooth direction with his trowel. That way it'll key up and in to the lath and it'll all tie. If you ever look at an actual ceiling that's been done out of Portland cement or out of plaster, if you look above it, it looks like the surface of the moon. It's all real rough grade, and because the plaster actually keys through the lath and ties up and in to the 3/4 channel iron, so it's all kind of tied together to make one strong shape. Essentially, what you're looking at is a concrete wall, a 3/4 of an inch thick concrete wall, because that's what a Portland cement ceiling or wall actually is. The lath, when it's installed, typically you'll find lath in schools or in churches or in hospitals. So you'll find lath a lot of times used in those scenarios. When you're going to use it in a scenario like this where drywall can't conform to it, I mean, drywall is only going to be able to bend so far. Even if you go to a 1/4 inch board, which is made to flex and bend, it's only going to be able to conform to so much of a shape before it's going to start to snap. And then you're going to have to go back to the traditional lath and plaster finish product. This product right now that he's framing out referred to as an external groin ceiling. Essentially what it is where two barrels would come together. The external part comes in because this comes down into a point. You can frame out an external groin like this or an internal groin where instead of it coming down, it would actually go up, kind of like looking up inside an open parachute, you know, where the vanes would be up instead of down. You know, in this scenario here, drywall would have a real hard time bending around to this shape, so you're going to have to go back to lath and plaster, and that's what we're trying to frame out here, is a external groin ceiling. This here we have a barrel ceiling. A barrel ceiling consists of, that's where it got its name, barrel. It looks like a half of a barrel. This would be another method where you would have to go to a plaster ceiling. Some drywall will bend, you know, you can get board to bend only so far, and then once again you're going to have to go back to lath and plaster as a finished product. You also have over here, we've got a soffit that was framed out, and parts of the soffit can be actually framed out of drywall. And parts of the soffit can't be framed out of drywall because the drywall can't bend in two directions at the same time. You might be able to get the drywall to bend one way, but you're not going to be able to get it to bend the other way. So there, you're going to have parts of it done in lath and plaster, and other parts of it can actually be used in, you know, the newer products that we have now, where, you know, 1/4 inch board or whatever thickness board will actually bend and conform to those shapes. And then you can put whatever finish you want on it. You know, you'll see some that are smooth, or rock, or pebble, or swirl. You know, you can kind of, the plasters, I always look at them as they're almost like artists. They can almost take anything, you know, and create out of our rough structure. They can really do some really unique things.